morning and welcome to New Systems for Living with Dr. Dave Allen. I am Deborah Joy, sitting alongside, of course, the doctor, inviting you to join us for the next 30 minutes on New Systems for Living with Dr. Dave Allen. New Systems for Living with Dr. Dave Allen was designed to encourage and provoke us into new ways of thinking, responding, and interrelating that will lift us to higher levels of being, taking us further into our evolution towards perfection. You know, prior to the last 2 Sundays, we dedicated 2 programs to address the issue of domestic violence. We felt to effectively tackle or address the issue on all fronts and from all angles that perhaps we do a series on the topic. However, for the last 2 Sundays, we took time to celebrate our Afro-Trinbagonians and indigenous people in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we would very much like to continue the dialogue on domestic violence because, of course, you know, for the last few weeks, we have read on the newspapers of situations of domestic disputes where people were unable to let go of their partner even long after the relationship or the relationships have ended. But this morning, we want to address a very frightening issue that is not only happening right here in Trinidad and Tobago, but worldwide. And it's the issue of people, more so our young people, who are manifesting, you know, very callous, unemotional traits. And this morning, we have named our program, Am I My Brother's Keeper? Dr. Allen, good morning.
Good morning, Deborah Joy. Morning to all the viewers. Yes.
We want to start off, you know, you would have seen the newspaper caption, "Thieves strip car with dead driver." You would have seen that on the newspaper recently. And also in Florida, there was a video that surfaced. I think the video was taped in June month, but I think it started surfacing in late July, August month, where 5 teens were seen videotaping a disabled man drowning in a pond, and they were making, you know, they were making fun of it. They were mocking the man, and no assistance was given to the man, and apparently the man drowned. And then there's also another issue, another case in Florida, where a young woman, apparently she has, you know, her fiance suffers from depression, and he said to her on many occasions that he wanted to commit suicide. And there was this particular time that he actually did make up his mind to commit suicide. And apparently he went into his car to turn on the car and whatnot, and he was on the phone with her. And she was there all the time, you know, encouraging him to do it, to commit suicide. And there was a time that he ran out of the car because he became very afraid to commit the act. And she was on the phone there with him, telling him, go back into the car and do what you said you would do. And he eventually did go back into the car and committed suicide. You know, Dr. Allen, what is happening here? What are the reasons for this callous on emotional traits in people? Clearly, there seems to be an impaired capacity for empathy. Why is there, or why do there seem to be a disconnect from each other?
Well, of course, you know, I will put it down to one word. There's a Greek word, right? That is, the word is kotos. Right, it is described in the Bible as darkness. And it's not just darkness, it is the darkness, a definite article. And sometimes when we just talk about darkness like, you know, principle, we don't talk about the darkness. Darkness is a power. Darkness is a force, a negative energy that pervades the universe, that is trying to draw everything within it and to destroy creation itself.
Into that hole.
And you know, sometimes when we look at religion, you know, and we look at it from a kind of, you know, theological standpoint, we don't get into the depth of the meaning. Even, you know, I mean, even Diwali and all these different things, festivals of light, because light must overcome darkness, because darkness is an energy.
Right.
And this darkness is really, it has been prophesied, been said, that darkness will continue to rise and will try to consume the world. And it would consume the world unless the forces of light don't stand up and shine into that darkness and eradicate, dispel that darkness.
I think there's a scripture that says that darkness shall cover the earth.
Well, darkness covered the earth once, and God said, the earth was in darkness. The earth came into darkness, and it didn't start in darkness. If you, in the book of Genesis, it tells us that, and there was darkness upon the face of the earth, and that word was darkness. It wasn't that it started off in darkness. It became dark through, the whole thing of the war in heaven between Lucifer and all these things that happened. And darkness spread because Lucifer, who was a light bringer, became the source of darkness, and therefore it spread, and God said, let there be light, and that command is still there.
But I haven't really planned this, but since you're talking about it, I really would like to go into it. How can a light bringer, a person who was created to bring light, how can that person now become a person that is responsible for darkness?
Well, light also focuses, love is light. Light is love, right? Love is a very powerful force. It's a powerful energy. God is love. God is light. And God is the very source of that light. And light is not just, brilliance as we see. We have different types of light. We have incandescent light. We have LED. We have different types of light. And really, light is a spectrum. If you go into the physics of light, we'll understand that we, as human beings, we only see 2% of the whole spectrum of light. So really and truly, there's a 98% that we really can't even understand the light. But the time will come as we evolve and we continue to focus on this light, that will happen. But light itself, when light comes from love, light comes from all these positive things. When we go into hatred and anger and all these different things, in fact, the scripture says that he who hates his brother or his sister, he who fosters negative feelings towards another human being, say that person does not know that they're walking in the darkness. They have opened up their hearts and they've opened up their souls so that this dark energy that science calls the black hole, they form a black hole within the heart that consumes everything. And from the time you start having those negative feelings towards another human being, maybe your spouse, maybe your parents, maybe your friends, maybe people of different races, people of different ethnicities, people of different culture. You are opening up your soul to the darkness. And that is where that darkness is going to come. So the world, if you look at something, the world went into that darkness because Lucifer had pride in his heart.
This is what I'm asking, and because we're going to take it back to all these issues. Well, not issues really, but where the incidents that happen. Darkness has to come from something. What are some of the things that will cause us to be dark? To be a dark. To walk in that darkness. As you said, Lucifer started off with pride. What is happening with people that you can actually look at a disabled man who is drowning and not see the need to help this person, but rather mock and taunt and videotape it and see somebody drowning? I mean, is that what we have come to?
Well, again, as you said, darkness. These things that we see, whether it be murder, whether it be genocide, whether it be callousness, insensitivity, whether it be brutality, whether it be abuse, these things are manifestation of darkness. Huh? That's not darkness itself.
Okay.
These are the manifestation of a force, a spiritual force, a negative force. Sometimes you see movies like Star Wars, right? And you talk about the dark side of the force. I mean, people like Lucas and all these people, they would have tried in some way to let us understand that there's a dark force. The dark side, the force is a powerful force, but there's a dark side of the force, there's a good side of the force, right? And when you succumb to the dark side of the force, that is what happens, and you see it manifest itself. And now we have a generation that is succumbing, and more as they open up their hearts, the negativity, you find that is being manifested in more colors. We are becoming more and more insensitive. And in fact, there are scriptures say in the latter days, these things are going to happen, you know. Men will become haters, truce breakers, you know, covenant breakers, murderers, violent, abusers of themselves and abusers of animals, because they've opened up their soul to this dark energy. And I have to say it, you know, sorry for my voice getting a little loud, but sometimes when I see what is happening, or we open up ourselves, and even among, this is even happening among so-called Christians. And I'll tell you, there's a scripture that says in 1 John 3 and verse 12, about, if we say that we have fellowship with him, and we hate our brothers, and we have animosity, sometimes churches hating churches, churches fighting competition, Christians in church having jealousy and envy and putting down and berating each other. He said, then you're fooling yourself and you're walking in darkness. And we have to, Jesus said, if you look at your brother with hate in your heart, if you look at your sister with any kind of negative condemnatory spirit or any of such thing, you will be opening up your heart to that darkness. And that is what we want to see. And as more and more as we open up to that darkness is spreading more and more. So you find that human beings are becoming more and more callous. The type of brutality that we are seeing, even in our own land. I look at a video clip of murders that are taking place in this country, with such brutality, slitting of throat, stamping on people's head, brutalizing. It is becoming more and more ghastly, grotesque, because the darkness is spreading. But we can only talk about the problem. Talking about the problem is not solving it, you know. Understand?
Because then we become part of the problem.
If we are not part of the solution, we are part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't come to have a program just to talk about the problem. I come to give solutions, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give solutions, and these are the kind of things that we're going to open up the kind of conversation and the dialogue how this could be solved, right? So I think we want to bring in that part about our brother's keeper. So Ms. Joy, come on.
Yeah, but what is causing us? Because, like, you know, I remember when I was growing up and I was going to school and we had to walk the stretch on the road, you know, everywhere we go, or every house that we pass, we say, good morning, Miss So-and-so, good morning, Mr. So-and-so, you know, and you feel that, you felt then that sense of community. You felt that the whole village was your family. Is it because there's no longer that community spirit? Is it that because of the you know, of the internet and smartphone and all of that there seems to be no sense of community? And is it that perhaps maybe is one of the reasons why there seem to be a disconnect?
Well, that is, remember we started by saying that the power of darkness is going to escalate, and it wants to escalate. It is determined to escalate. And therefore it is going to find weaknesses in our society, weaknesses in our world, to get through, to become more and more pronounced. And it has found a way through, as you say, through technology. Technology, the rapid growth of technology. You know, there are laws that say that the growth of technology is so fast now, and it is like a whirlwind. We were not prepared for it. We were not prepared for cell phone and internet. You know, I came out from a generation not too long. We didn't know anything about a cell phone. We didn't know nothing about computer. When you hear about a computer, you thought it was something in Doctor Who, or Star Trek. or Space 2000. Yeah. Space 2000. And we look at Space 1999. And you look at when we talk about that Martin Landau, you know, he died recently. You know who was in that movie, and his wife, Barbara Bain. However, you know, we saw those things because it was not 1999 yet, and they were already projecting that people would be on the moon and walking. We haven't reached there really in that sense, you know that. But when we talk about computer was a frightening thing. Now we have our smartphone, we have Siri, we have different voice command. It's speaking to us just like, you know, we saw in the movies. But we were not prepared to how it would affect our socializing. So now you go to a meeting where people used to be speaking together. People used to be
and they're texting,
talking, and somebody, everybody got their cell phone out, and there's a breakdown. It also the family life. You go with the family life. Long ago, our mom would call all of us. I mean, there were 7 of us, and we would come. All of us would gather. Our mom will tell us stories. They would tell us stories about our grandfather. They would give us lessons in life. I mean, I know a lot of lessons in life through what my mom told me. And all of us will be around, and she will sit down and we look for that because that was our form of communication. But now, I grow up children, and the thing with the cell phone and the computer, by a certain time everybody in the room on the computer, and that kind of sharing of information.
I know, you know, I was sharing, someone was telling me that, you know, if the daughter would text the father from her bedroom to the father's bedroom, and she would text the father and say, what do we have to eat? You know, so there was a time, you know, you come out in the kitchen and you mingled with your family. You said, okay, you sat down at the dinner table, but now you're texting from one room to the next. So you're seeing where the disconnect is coming from.
And it is terrible because I'll tell you something. What is happening is that the police services throughout the world, they're up against some serious challenge. Now, I always said that, and I believe this, and I've said it recently, that people stealing, breaking open places, murder on the streets, all sort of things, that is the responsibility of national security. Whether it be Homeland, whether it be police service, whether it be army, whether it be community police, whatever. But the crimes of passion and the crimes of abuse in homes and the crime and those kind of these insensitivities that's happening in our children, that's the responsibility of parents, teachers, community leaders, church spiritual leaders, to continue to impact that into our children's life. Train up a child, and that's the word. That's the missing element. The missing element. And I want to appeal to government, because government, whoever is in government, you find that you have to allocate a lot of monies. You have to allocate a lot of money in the budget towards social issues, social mishaps that could be used to develop infrastructure to make better lives. So if you be proactive and you start to look at programs more vigorous and aggressive at developing programs that could build back communities and build back family lives. In the short term, it may look like as though it's costing, but you know, in the long term, in the medium and in the long term, you will find the savings and the benefit of those programs towards building of a society. A society, you must always have a ministry, a future ministry, a ministry that is always looking at the future and projecting the future and planning for the future. Not just these kind of jerky, reactionary type leadership that we have. You'd have we know we have a sea bridge. We know the boats will get old. We wait till it get old. We wait till things happen, and then we want to. We are creating crises upon crises and upon crises, and it is causing overheating within our society. What we need, and I'm appealing to all leaders, whether it's leaders in government, whether it's leaders in business, whether it's opposition, whatever, you have to become more proactive rather than reactive. You have to start thinking, trajectory thinking, planning for the future. Get some real future planners, get them together and know where society. Now we know with technology, society could somebody could go and invent something. Somebody could discover some kind of technology that could just turn the world, just like the internet, just turn the world topsy-turvy. But we have to expect that. We have to expect that. And look at the extremes and start putting things in place for the human and social development. How we, technology, if we allow technology to run ahead of us, we are now into artificial intelligence and robotics and all sort of things. If we are not careful, all these movies that we saw, and where robots and try to take over the world.
iRobot and
I mean,
yeah.
these things can happen if we allow it. But we have to know that it could. Right now, companies are putting chips, like microchips into people. They're having a chip party, a microchip party, in order to put microchips so they could track. That's the beginning. I mean, those things were spoken about in the scripture. It started, and it's going to get more and more. So, but we have to be prepared that when these things come upon us, how are we going to navigate ourselves so that we do not dissolve society? There's no dissolution of society, but there is continued improvement. As I said, that life on earth could be a great thing, you know. Once we begin to harness that power, once we begin to look at the power of good, once we begin to look at the power of light and all these good things and love, and start teaching these things. Love should be part of our syllabus. People should be graduating from school, doctors of love. You understand?
Dr. Love.
Their PhD in love, right? Their masters in love, their bachelors in love. Well, when you love, you won't be a bachelor anymore. But say what? But those are the kind of things we should have from early, from kindergarten. Special programs. I have designed programs about love. The Bible spoke many things about it. The other thing, to teach people how to love, and that's important for sure.
But you know, even with technology now, and as we say, every person is on their smartphone, everybody is on the computer. What type of programs? Because the government and maybe other organizations perhaps may be doing programs, but it's not really reaching the people, and maybe it's not relevant for this time. With everybody on their smartphone and computers and whatnot, what type of programs can we implement to reach the people, to reach people?
Well, basically, I'll say this, I'll say that one of the most important ministry, a ministry that should be a government ministry that should be given a lot of prominence and should be given a large budget, right? Is the Ministry of Community and Social Development in every country. That will have people come in, you know, religious leaders, community leaders, people come together and design programs that can rebuild family life, rebuild community life, not just family life. Where, as we started off, where we learn that we are our brother's keeper. And this type of selfish life that is taking, this selfish living that is happening here. Now let me talk a little bit on that, because that word came out from the book of Genesis, right? Genesis 4 and verse 9. When Cain killed his brother, Abel. Cain killed his brother out of jealousy. Right. He was envious of his brother. His brother was a good man, a good boy, really God-fearing and everything. But he became envious. And he couldn't deal with that. How do I deal with this emotion that is troubling me? Right. Started troubling him, you know. He looked, and first of all, it affected his countenance. And the countenance is a very important thing, you know. You know, he couldn't deal, and that's what we need to teach people, you know. Because it started the first set of sin.
And I'm glad that you're bringing that point, Dr. Allen, because you would hear people say, you said that we are about New Systems for Living is about bringing solutions to the people. And you would have heard people say, you know, well, you all are telling me about my problem. You all are telling me about my problem, but what can you do to help me? You know, so I like the part where you're talking about that, where, you know, Cain had this jealousy, and the jealousy lead to anger. How does one deal with that?
Well, this is where we need emotional intelligence. And we said that emotional intelligence, people can have, you know, academic intelligence, right? They could have all these things, high IQ, but their EQ, right, very low. And that is what we need to really teach people, right? We have done programs on emotional intelligence, how to cope, how to deal with these emotions, because when people don't know, if you look at the news recently, you see the guy who interrupted while he and his girlfriend was having a problem, they was having an argument. First of all, he couldn't deal with the fact that, that how he was feeling towards his girlfriend. She had opposed him, probably there was something. And his only way to deal with that emotion, the emotion that he was feeling was real. But his way of dealing with it was to abuse and to beat and to brutalize his girlfriend, whom he said he loved. But that's his way because he doesn't know any better. While doing that, someone intervened. And he's so annoyed, he goes out there to kill the person who intervened. And we find that is a big thing that's happening now. People can't cope, and people who intervene, they're going after them. Murder is the way. Murder is the ultimate. Murder is the ultimate because Cain, he did the ultimate. And I want to tell people, something. I want to tell you something about taking of another life. When Cain took Abel's life, Bible says he was cursed. I want to tell people who feel that murder is a solution. You, the murderer, you are the real victim. You are the real victim because you will be haunted. Not haunted, haunted by police, but you will be haunted for the rest of your life. You will live in darkness. You don't even realize how terrible it is that your life will become. You feel big when you're a hitman. You feel that's a new thing, you're a hitman. But let me tell you something. If you know what is in store for you, every would-be hitman, every would-be killer, please, I love you enough because God said to love people. And I love you enough to tell you, if that is a way of life that you're trying, you don't know. You kill a man, you ain't doing nothing, In fact, you take his sins upon your life. You have placed yourself in a worse condition that you thought that man in. And let me tell you something, you wouldn't even believe the darkness and the torment and the torment and the torment and the torment and the torment. You will just regret what you. So please, if somebody didn't tell you, if nobody taught you, if your father didn't teach you, if your leader didn't teach you, I am here to tell you, please, 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 put down the gun, put down the knife, put down the violence. And those of you, know that you're your brother's keeper. Know that you're supposed to help each other. Know you're supposed to reach out to each other. And this is what real love, it must start in the home. It must start in the community. And we must get back there. It's joy.
Well, Dr. Allen, we as we say, it's only half an hour, and we really can't cover everything in half an hour. But I know you just, you were very passionate about what you said just a while ago. But what can you say to the church or to religious bodies? Are we playing a part in encouraging this darkness? Are we doing what we are supposed to do as religious organizations?
Well, I think that the whole system, a lot of people are turning away from traditional Christianity and a lot of traditional religion. Because when you look back at all these religious bodies and what they've done over history, they were the cause of most of the wars and brutality, all in the name of God. And that's not God, That is not God, We must become all-embracing. There's a need for a new spirituality. Not a new age spirituality, but a new spirituality. Because the old spirituality is just wasting its time. It is no longer working, and we have to change.
Well, Dr. Allen, thank you so much, and we have come to the end of another segment of New Systems for Living. We want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and we invite you again to join us next week, same time, same station, as we take you through another segment of New Systems for Living with Dr. Dave Allen.